News dump. All right, Davey. Big news out there on the social media.
What are you doing in my swamp? What are you doing?
Shrek Crocs.
Shrek Crocs.
Shrek Crocs are available. The crossover that we have all been waiting for. Adults, $60, which I understand that's a pretty normal price to try and get someone to buy a nostalgia bait product, but $50 for kids is a bit steep.
Well, why is it only $10 more for adults? That doesn't make sense to me. Usually it's like a $20 swing or something, right?
How much does foam cost?
Well, how much do those cost to make? Those probably cost, what, $5 to make? If that?
One of those bumblebee nickels.
Seriously.
But if they only made them in Shrek size, I think I would definitely buy them. Like if they only had 23s.
Is that what size shoe Shrek wears? Do we know that?
I would assume so. Like at the old Bowl-orama in Cambridge, I believe Perkins had some shoes there that were roughly a size 23.
Wait, hold on. Yeah. Who had shoes there that were size 23?
Kendrick Perkins.
Kendrick Perkins? His foot's that big?
Oh, yeah. He's got giant feet. It wasn't the Bowl-orama. The Bowl-orama is in York Beach, Maine. I'm talking about Lanes and Games.
Lanes and Games. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I want some big old Shrek size shoes. If they can give me some giant shoes and then I can put them on my shelf, I can't wear these out. You don't want to ruin them. You're a shoe guy, Dave, right?
I used to be. I'm not as much as I was anymore, but these are something you don't want to get a crease in them either.
You don't want to crease these.
Yeah.
News dump. Got a tease for Aquaman and The Last Kingdom. The trailer will be coming out at the end of this week, and I'm still not excited for this movie. I might be the opposite, but I think they're giving us exactly what they should, showing us how outlandish and ridiculous this movie's going to be.
Like, I don't know if we can swear on this program, but it says, if you're Aquaman, if you're Jason Momoa, if you're the writer of this movie, is it James Wan doing this again?
I think it's Wan again.
Are you at fuck it with this now? Like, it doesn't matter. So we just do whatever we want.
I think it's a mix of that / Momoa still wants to play nice because he wants to be Lobo, or he's already been given Lobo. Mm-hmm. And the first one made so much money. I think it's still the highest grossing DC movie.
That's crazy.
It is, but you know, it's so sexy though. Such a sexy movie. In this little tease, this little 30-second tease, you get a lot. And they lean into the cheese. You get really good comic accurate costumes on all the characters. So credit there. Black Manta looks awesome.
Is he awesome though? That's my question.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, it's just a guy in a fancy scuba suit.
Because he's also still just doing like the generic bad guy look with like the fur coat and just sitting there looking. Yeah. Like, I don't know what his deal is yet.
And he had all summer to figure it out too, and that's the problem.
He's had 3 or 4 summers to figure it out.
But the thing too is like I can get behind Black Manta if the helmet wasn't so stupid.
I feel like they've shrunk the helmet a little bit though.
It's just so goofy.
Right, but what isn't goofy and what really draws me in is Aquaman leaping from the ocean on a giant blue translucent seahorse.
I've had that dream before, so that was nice to see on the silver screen.
Like, that's the type of shit that I love. Like, in the first one, the story isn't great, but I love Aquaman jumping aboard a submarine, permission to come aboard, or an octopus playing the drums in a battle game, or Orm just rattling off these crazy one-liners. Speaking of Orm, we see him with like a battle tank octopus behind him.
Why does he need that?
I don't know. Did he lose his powers at the end of the first one?
Yeah, I think so.
I think he did. I think his mom took his powers away, right?
Yeah.
Is Nicole Kidman in this one?
She's got to be, right? Little cameo?
I know he's not the Ocean Master anymore.
No,
Who was the Ocean Master at the end of the first one? Do I have to watch the first one again?
I think we have to watch it again. You're going to be confused with Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom if you don't know who the Sea King is. Is it King Triton?
We also saw some mer people. Was that Amber Heard as one of the mer people? She looked very Amber Heard-ish.
So I remember reading too, and we talked about it a bunch. Like, didn't her 80% of her role in this movie get cut?
Well, between that, them cutting out all of Ben Affleck, them cutting out all of Michael Keaton because they weren't sure which Batman to use, and decided we can't use any. There's going to be a lot that doesn't make sense in this movie, but I wouldn't mind if they just went into it and they're like, this is 85 minutes. We got rid of a lot. We got rid of a lot of the fluff. It's just Aquaman shit now. There's no other stories.
That's the secret to good writing, man, is revision and cutting. That's the secret to good stuff. The more succinct, the better, right? Just, I think it's like, just get this over with.
News dump. Happy Christian Bale-iversary. 20 years ago today, or yesterday, depending on when you're listening to us, Christian Bale was cast as Batman for Batman Begins, Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. Some names that were considered at the time. Rumor has it, by the way, I have no concrete evidence on this, so don't come at me. Henry Cavill, Heath Ledger, Jake Gyllenhaal, Josh Hartnett, Cillian Murphy.
And I did see you can find it on YouTube. There is a like Cillian Murphy screen test as Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Right. And I do prefer what they did. I think he's a great Scarecrow. I wish they just gave him more to do with Scarecrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you had one more Nolan movie, I think that was just so much of a, because for a grounded Batman story, I think Scarecrow is kind of the way to go, because they're both dealing with people being afraid. The only issue is that
they poison the water supply, which then just brings it back to like the 1940s.
Right.
The bad guy got the water supply. And then what I love about it, and Nolan talks about this, is that what Bale does best, and I completely agree with this, is that he is such a good Bruce Wayne. And that really is what got this trilogy going, is that in Begins, you buy him as Bruce Wayne, and then you get little glimpses of Batman, where I don't necessarily love his Batman in the next two movies, but especially in Begins, I think it works perfect.
It does work perfect, but he was also, believe it or not, I think he was the first Batman to like change his voice.
No, Keaton did a little bit. No, so Keaton did a little bit. And then
but I feel like it was good for the character, because one of the big gripes is like, first of all, Clark Kent takes his glasses off and he's Superman. Like, that's a bad disguise, but like, you would sound like Bruce Wayne too, and people know his voice. So it was nice to change it.
Kevin Conroy talks about this in an episode of, I can't think of what it is called. It is Will Friedle and Christy Carlson Romano's podcast about animation. And Will Friedle, who plays Terry McGinnis in Batman Beyond, worked a lot with Kevin Conroy. And they were talking about how to disguise your voice and work with your voice as both, Terry McGinnis or Bruce Wayne and Batman. And just like bringing it up a little bit, bringing it down a little bit. And Conroy talks a lot about what Affleck does, and the way that he did it was perfect, putting that little bit of like the robotic touch on it so that you don't need to go so far over the top to then kind of take people out of a scene.
Which again, that's why I think, Christian Bale was in the better movies, but I really think that Ben Affleck could have been the best Batman on screen. Could have been.
Hey, I just brought up Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy said Affleck might have been the best live action Batman.
I agree.
And Will Friedle agreed too. He's a good looking guy. So happy Bale-iversary. I'm glad that we got him. Josh Hartnett would have been great too. Obviously Heath Ledger, but you prefer him as the Joker. Henry Cavill eventually got Superman. You prefer that. So I think everything worked out well. News dump. Timmy Chalz, little rumor online. Rumor has it is not true that he'll be playing Damian Wayne. Of course, who had this on Twitter? It was at the InSneeber. Said that this is not happening. And it makes sense. Chalamet is going to be, 30 when this movie comes out?
And he's too big a name now. He's too big a draw. He's almost A-list, right? So he can't.
Need a preteen, don't you? If it's Damian Wayne, if it's Batman Brave and the Bold, I think you can stretch it maybe to 15. But in the comics, isn't he 10 to 12?
Yeah, he's like a kid. Like when they first meet, when Talia shows back up with him, and he's like a little maniac.
And that's what it has to be. That's what it's supposed to be. So don't give me. So no, that's one of the bigger issues in Batman Forever. Is they introduce Robin and everyone's like, oh, Robin sucks. No, Robin sucks when Robin is the same age as Batman. Like when you have Chris O'Donnell playing Robin and Val Kilmer's 8 years older than him? Yeah. That's stupid. That's not taking an award. That's just having some guy live with you.
But also, like, I do, I need some like fucked up Jason Todd too.
Well, if you are introducing Damian Wayne.
They exist, right?
Yeah, they all exist. All the Robins exist. You can now have fun with the entire Bat family.
Right.
And maybe Timmy Chalz can be one of those Robins.
Have him, he be a great Dick Grayson.
Yeah, have him be a bit different Robin.
There you go. Yeah.
News down. Deadpool 3 reportedly is going to be a bloodbath via Collider. The director, Sean Levy, said you have two major movie stars together in a movie playing their most iconic signature roles. It's speaking about the upcoming Deadpool 3, and also said that if all of the rumors of the cameos for this movie were true, it would be the most crazily cast movie of all time. I think he's trying to, pull us back a little bit on this because people might have gotten too hyped for a movie, say like Multiverse of Madness. And then you got a couple pretty good cameos, but people wanted more. I think what he's doing is, like Ben Affleck will probably show up as Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
You'll probably have Jennifer Gardner's Elektra. But what he's saying is like, don't expect every X-Men. Don't expect all of these characters. But we're going to get a bunch of them. Or maybe we will get them all. Who knows?
Maybe we will. And there is, I read this a long time ago. I think it came out. I'm trying to find the date right now as you were talking. There is a run. I think it was 2011 to 2012. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe.
Oh.
Just do that. Just have him killing everybody.
And
talking
also,
about like how like multiverses is like this doesn't matter. They'll just bring him back anyway. Like I can see the jokes already.
Yeah.
I can see him like just killing everybody.
That's a good point. So it's a multiverse movie, and then Deadpool is still a fun character that other actors or other characters might be attracted to being in. So like Chris Evans has said in the past that he's done with Captain America, but this might be a movie that he deems as being fun and he wants to jump into. I'm not saying that Chris Evans is in it, but he looks at it being like, oh shit, it's Ryan Reynolds, it's Hugh Jackman. I want to join the fun.
Get Andrew Garfield. Have him kill Spider-Man.
Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire,
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. might want to jump back in on these.
That'd be great. Even if
now
it's
I'm just tossing out everybody. Michael Keaton as Batman might want to be in this.
Why not?
Well, maybe you have him show up as Vulture first, and he's like, "Nah, I'm actually Batman."
Or it's like, well, yeah, who is this? Like he keeps look at the camera and be like, who am I? Who's this right now? Who do I got?
And then Ryan Reynolds is like, "Wait, am I Green Lantern?"
Or
there we go.
Chris Evans, and he's like, yeah.
We just gave him an idea. You can have a full 30 seconds of everyone being confused about who everyone is. Affleck, is he Daredevil or is he Batman?
Is Chris Evans Johnny Storm or is he Captain America, Steve Rogers? Like who am I dealing with right now?
From what's his name? Michael Cera. Blanking.
Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim. Is he Scott Pilgrim? Is he Casey Jones from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the animated movie?
Yeah.
He could be anybody.
That was Chris Evans? Was Casey
from 2007,
Jones?
yes.
All right.
So just give me all of this Deadpool stuff. And I know that this is all being pushed off. We're, still in the midst of a strike. But as soon as this picks back up, this is going to be, I feel like so many people that were, fringe on these movies still, like this is one that everyone is still looking forward to and might be the make or break.
Yeah.
News down. Speaking of comic book movies, speaking of people wanting to be in other movies and a bunch of actors in one movie, rumor has it, Marvel wants Sam Raimi for Avengers Secret Wars.
I don't
either.
Nope.
And I know that we speak a lot, you guys I believe do too, about, letting directors have, their touch on these movies so that they aren't all carbon copies.
Right.
But his style is just so not what these movies are, right? And you're a bigger expert on Raimi than I am.
Yeah, he's practical effects. It's a lot of like weird zooming. It's a lot of like kind of campy stuff. And I don't know. You saw Multiverse of Madness. Like that was not it. That was not the thing.
People will call you out for not liking Multiverse of Madness, saying, well, you were expecting too much. And what I really didn't like about it, I hated everything with Scarlet Witch. I thought that they undid all of what WandaVision was.
Right.
And then also, I didn't like the Raimi stuff in it. I didn't like his touch on the movie. I didn't like them having a music fight. I didn't like Captain America's shield having the camera on it as they cut Peggy Carter in half. I didn't like the Raimi stuff.
No, and that was like, that's so Sam Raimi fan service. Like, I feel like he does that stuff just to do it when it doesn't really work. Like, and again, if he went full horror with that, which he should have, because that was pitched. Remember, that was pitched as like Marvel's first horror movie.
which is
You
what
should have done it.
Diedrichson wanted to do, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they fired him because it was probably too much, and then they brought in Raimi and it made it goofy. So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know.
Having said all this, if they want to give him a Spider-Man 4, I'll watch that one.
I'll absolutely watch that. That's not the problem. But like, to handle something that on
It's
that
not what the
scale-
topic is right now.
I know, but to handle something on that scale,
Yeah.
I don't think he has the chops to do that. Hear me out. You could do
Yeah.
some humor in it. You can make it light. Have Waititi do it.
I think that everyone now, I'm still a Waititi boy.
Yeah.
I know that you are too. Mac is. There are so many people that are anti-Waititi now that want him off of all the Thor projects, don't want him anywhere near comic book movies anymore because he doesn't take them serious enough. I still want him on my Thor movie. I don't think we're getting a Thor 5, but
No, I don't think you are.
I would still like him involved in these movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would still like him somewhere involved, even if it's just doing voiceover work. But
like, I would even say some of the best stuff in Infinity War. Obviously, like the Russo brothers absolutely fucking crushed that movie. But the punch ups by Waititi, and then I mean, it still has that gun touch to like the Guardians too. That's what really makes it pop.
Right, and everyone was involved in that. So I think while the Russo brothers have their name on it, I got to believe that everyone else was involved with it too. And why not do that with this as well?
And then also, speaking of Sam Raimi, speaking of Spider-Man, there was a report, I believe a costume designer said this, that Multiverse of Madness was supposed to feature a Spider-Man in there. They didn't say which one specifically, but they probably mean Tom Holland.
Mhm.
But because of COVID, things got thrown off.
Well, you can't blame COVID for everything. I mean, that would have been nice, but you still had a flat Captain America, which was, what's her name? America.
Peggy Carter.
No. Maybe the kid.
Oh, America Chavez.
America Chavez. You even forgot about that too.
Well, that character in general was just like, oh, what do we need her to do? Oh, she can punch someone into a different dimension. All right, yeah, sure, just do that.
Yeah, great.
And then she just finds her power out of nowhere. There's a lot of flaws in that movie, but we're not here to rail against Multiverse of Madness. We're just saying we don't want Sam Raimi doing the
this
Avengers
is all
movies.
to say. No,
because once again, these movies, they're still appealing to certain people here, but they're losing the general audience.
Correct. They're losing the fans a little bit.
So just give the Russo brothers all the money. Really.
Seriously, what else are they doing right now?
They're making Netflix movies.
Terrible ones too. They talk about terrible dialogue. My God.
News dump. According to reports, according to The Hollywood Reporter, Kang, Jonathan Majors, will be in about 50% of Loki season 2. This season is starting in a month. And I think that is a good amount of Kang. That also, if you still feel that if, things go downhill for the actor playing him, that still gives you the opportunity to swap him out if you need to do that or go in a different direction. But as of right now, the character's been pretty good. He was the highlight of Ant-Man. He was amazing in Loki season 1 and obviously plays a pivotal role of Loki needs to find Sylvie and work with Mobius to undo what they did in season 1.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a compelling character, and say what you want about Jonathan Majors, but again, like you said, there was the bright spot of this whatever phase we're in of the Marvel Cinematic Universe was like knowing that you're going to get to him on a larger scale at some point. So I'm a huge fan of Loki season 1, and I do love it's like 8 or 9 episodes. If he's in half, that's great. That's great. And
it might be 6.
Is it 6? Is it short again?
I think it's shorter. I think it's 6:45s. I might be completely wrong, but that sounds about right.
Right. If he's in 3 episodes, great. Right on.
Yeah, we're searching through time. They're going through time. They're going through space. They're going through everything. They're trying to fix the timelines of what they did. Miss Minutes, of course, we've discussed this many of times. Miss Minutes has tweeted at Deadpool a couple times. So, hey, if Deadpool pops up here too, I wouldn't mind that.
I love a good, Bill and Ted vibe, which is what we're getting with Owen Wilson and Loki right now.
News dump. I saw this on the old Twitter sphere or the old X sphere. I don't know what you want to call it nowadays, but via the comicbook.com, I Am Groot director didn't give me his name, so I'm very, very sorry about that, but he is interested in developing a baby rocket show. So the Baby Groot show, they're like roughly 1 to 3 minutes long. They're fun little shorts. The reason why I wouldn't want one for Rocket is I don't know if he saw Guardians 3.
I'm glad you said that. That was my very
Baby Rocket wise in Guardians 3 is depressing as shit. Even the stuff of him, figuring out machines or figuring out how to help the high evolutionary, because all that stuff just leads to murder and creation and destruction. So no matter what fun scenario you give us, that it ends disastrously.
Well, it's like my kids started watching that like Young Jedi show on Disney. And the initial reaction I have is like, you understand that all these children are murdered, right? I didn't say that to them. I said it in my head, but the same thing, like, this is just like childhood trauma and we're going to glaze over it. Have you seen, because I got to tell you, took a 9-year-old to that movie. She was not happy with me.
I'll tell you what, took myself to that movie and I might have cried a couple times because
I got a little choked up.
And, I think it's already available. It's on Disney Plus. If you haven't seen it yet, you don't want to see it. But when Lila is shot and, Rocket just lets out that big old bellow, you're like, wow.
And what the most haunting part was when you start here, was it Rocket Floor and Teefs Go Now? Rocket Floor, Teefs Go Now. She starts, the bunny's like screaming.
Yeah.
That's what did it. That's what got my dog.
He tears his face off.
Okay, just rips his face right off.
This is a hard PG-13.
Hard. That's fun.
Real hard PG. Yeah. Give us a Baby Rocket show.
Yeah. No, thank you.
No. News dump. Oh, it has been announced by EW, the Entertainment Weekly, that Chase Crawford will be returning as the Deep in the Boys spinoff show Gen V. Do you think he is going to be a professor?
No, I think he's just going to show up and just be a total creep, like on campus. Like,
he's just going to show up. Okay, yeah. I want that way more. He's
going to be the guy who's like already graduated but keeps coming back.
I used to come here, guys.
Yeah, you guys. Oh yeah, and just like tries to like hang out with like college kids.
You know what? That sounds way better than what I thought. I thought he was going to be like a tenured professor there. He has like the patches on his elbows and he's teaching a class and he's, really bad at teaching.
No, he's glory days.
Just showing up at parties and orgies is way better.
That's what he's going to do.
Yeah. Thank you.
I hope that's how I'd read it, but
news dump. And finally, so IGN reported this, and apparently Mr. Beast ran an experiment on YouTube, the exact same video with different thumbnails. One with his mouth closed, the other mouth open, shocked, much as we've seen with many thumbnails on YouTube. This, those, Davey?
Yep.
And the one mouth closed lapped the mouth open, pretty much calling an end, saying that the mouth open thumbnail is dead. It is so 2000 and late.
How much time and money does this kid have to run this experiment?
And I mean, now he's getting so much content out of it. So
it's just printing money. And not only that,
but
he's like doubling up views.
So now, I mean, I just learned how to take pictures with my mouth open. I gotta, well, it's that. And then like the surprise look too. Like, how did this happen? How did all these puppies get in my bed?
We should do, yeah. I mean, it's now, I saw that and it was like, so it was still the mouth open thing, but he just like Photoshopped teeth into it.
Yeah. He's put some teeth in there.
So stupid.
He's doing God's work. Look, I wouldn't have had the time, the effort, the financial backing to do this myself because, well, I only get 13 views a video. But someone like him, this is how you further the internet. This is how you better the world. So thank you, Mr. Beast.
Thank you, Mr. Beast. We are answering all of the hard-hitting questions that we've all wondered.
So no more smiling or no more smiling mouth open. And then also just stop looking so surprised all the time.
Yeah, right.
News down.